All right. Hey, coming to you live from Sport Beach here in Cannes. I am Steve Mahn, Executive Creative Director at Instrument, here with my good friend and partner, Steve Simmons, Director of Advertising at Microsoft. And we're going to talk a little bit about AI and some of the great campaign work and thought leadership that Microsoft is putting out. I think maybe we'll start with what I think is a really resonant and powerful line that Microsoft has been hanging their hat on this year, and that's the idea that AI is not creative, you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if you just want to expound upon that a little bit and speak to the efforts that you all are making to sort of push on trust and skepticism and tension and all of those things.
You bet, yeah. First of all, thanks for the opportunity. It's great to be here with you today. And it's really for the Cannes experience this year, the theme we're talking about a lot is this idea that AI is not creative, you are. And that just really resonates with me too, because when you really think about it at the end of the day, right, it's a tool that we use. It's an amazing tool. It's a fantastic tool that's has the potential to totally change and revolutionize the way we work, but at the end of the day, without that human ingenuity and creativity, it's really just another tool. And so we're really trying to shine a light on that idea that AI can't laugh, AI can't go for a jog like I was lucky enough to have time to do this morning, all those things. But when you sprinkle in that human ingenuity and that creativity, it can help you to accomplish amazing things. And so it's really fun. Actually, at the space we have here, we did outreach to a handful of really talented designers and artists and really just gave them a prompt of, the door flies open and in walks trouble, and said, use AI tools and bring that to life. And so, it's really cool to see all the different ways that's manifested itself. Everything from, one person's interpretation of, young people entering the industry and bringing new thinking and fresh thinking, and that's the good trouble that's coming in the door. For someone else, and this resonates with me, I cook quite a bit, it was about sort of, cooking can be trouble. Sometimes it goes great, sometimes it doesn't. And so, really it just opens it up to everyone's interpretation, and that's sort of just a manifestation of that overall idea that without that human element and that human specialness, that's what you really need to make it work.
I love it. I love it so much. I think just finding that unique angle and, I think a place where a lot of these stories are coming to life is a platform that we partnered with you to build at Instrument called Microsoft Unlocked. You all are shedding light on all these really wonderful human stories and this innovation and this tech. Can you speak to the efforts being made on Unlocked, maybe your favorite story or two that are being shared, and just how that's going? Because I know that's a project of yours that you really love, and we obviously love it as well, and would love to chat about it.
Yeah, happy to. So Microsoft Unlocked is really kind of a brand storytelling site that we have, and the aperture is really wide just to tell stories that, in the shorthand I use, is that it's really where our Microsoft mission to empower every person and individual around the world to achieve more, it's really where we strive to make that tangible. And so of course, with these AI tools that really we're 1 year into some of these new amazing tools that people are using and sort of generative AI, really focusing some of the storytelling there. And what's cool about it is we're able to tell stories about AI and how it's helping really creative and innovative people do amazing things to change the world. But we're also starting to use, or we have been using AI more and more in our creative process to bring those stories to life. So a really fun example that I like to talk about is a story called The Rhythms of the Rainforest. It's about bioacoustics, which is a field of research where it's passive research, where scientists and researchers will go into an area, like for example, the Amazon rainforest, and they place microphones, and those microphones are just gathering data. They're gathering sound for days or weeks, and then when the scientists harvest that data, bring in the microphones, you can then listen to it, and just by listening to the overall sounds they hear and specific animals they can pick up on, they can track the overall health of the ecosystem or the health of specific animal populations or species. And so before, as you can imagine, that was a super laborious task to go through and listen to and comb through all of that data. And with the help of AI tools now, they can really speed up that process. So then the scientists can focus on their conservation efforts and their research and less on listening to the actual recordings, because a tool like AI can help them with that. But when we went to make the story for Unlocked, we also went in and used tools like Copilot and Designer to build the imagery for it, rather than, it's pretty tough to get down to the Amazon and go in and take photography. The animals might not cooperate, and so using using the really talented design people at Instrument, who we partner with on it, they created images to show all these different species that are tracked, and they turned out beautifully. We're also using AI tools, for example, in that story to comb through and help us find quotes and things from all of the interviews we've conducted. We use it to, we have a copywriter who writes a beautiful story, but if there's, for example, a paragraph or a sentence that maybe is, a little bit sticky for us because it's very complicated, we can put that into Copilot, for example, and say, rewrite this for us in 10 different ways, and then use that as a spark and a thought starter to go, oh, here's an interesting new angle at it. Let's play with it. So all sorts of different ways. These are just examples of one story through the funnel. Another one that I'm proud of is, accessibility is obviously super important to us. That's one of the big values, main values at Microsoft, is to make sure that what we're building is able to be used by everyone. And so we're also using AI, for example, to create alt text for the images in the story, so that people using screen readers can do it, or can see or understand rather the images. So, using AI to do that is just a great example of finding a new application for it and playing with it, and just finding great ways to use it to bring the stories to life.
Yeah, the tagline for the website is "Stories from the Heart and Soul of Innovation." I think my favorite aspect of the site is it's just taking all of this technology and experimentation that maybe would go unnoticed or might be buried in a press release, a couple lines we've joked about that, excuse me, you might find, and it's making things tangible, and it's demonstrating these stories in a way that just, I don't know, the AI for Good Lab, all these efforts that are being made that people should know about. And I'm really proud of the platform. It's been a great partnership. Yeah. Maybe to pivot and speak more tangibly about things, I'm curious, just brass tacks, how are you using AI in your everyday workflow?
Sure.
What tools, what behaviors are being created, what things are not working? Just speak to that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah. My two favorite ways that I'll talk to are, the first one is I use Copilot and AI a bunch in Teams. I'm sure all of us, I'm in tons of meetings all day, and what can sometimes happen to me, I'm sure I'm, probably not unique in this, is that, by the time I get to meeting 12, occasionally I'll, look out the window, there goes a bird or something like that. And so it's great to have sort of that always on companion that really acts like an assistant to sort of watch what I'm doing and capture notes. And then later I can go in and say, where was I mentioned? What was I supposed to do? And I can go in and use it that way to really keep up with things. And then also with my writing, I can be a bit verbose when I'm writing sometimes. And so it's great to go in and, say, let's make this pithier, or, help me make this shorter, help me, change the tone of this, which is another great way that I use it a lot in my sort of day-to-day work.
Do you think there's any sort of unique story or, a scenario where Microsoft is using AI in a space that might be enabling operations, driving efficiency, transforming engagement? Like, is there a tangible sort of outcome that you've been particularly proud of with the team, and more of the operational side that is worth sharing?
Sure. Yeah. Again, it's on the operational side. I'll just give another example that's kind of close to home for me, which is using it to comb through the data we're capturing as a team, and to help streamline it so that I can more easily ingest it. When we're doing this kind of stories, and we just go around and look for the great stories, find people to talk to, and conduct tons of background and interviews to really get to know the story and to fully wrap our heads around it. And so it's great to have all those transcripts and things like that. And then, AI is a tool that we can use to summarize them, or say, let's talk about the times they mentioned this aspect of the work they're doing, that kind of thing. And that just really speeds us up and operationally makes us able to apply our creative sensibilities and how we want to approach a story more efficient, because we're just spending less time combing through that to find that one mention or that one awesome quote, and more time thinking about how we can ultimately bring the story to life.
Awesome. I love that what we're doing is using these tools to create more space for creativity. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on how AI, what's on the horizon? How are we going to revolutionize content creation, storytelling? How are we going to make this resonant for brands and really sort of enable that more of that space?
Sure. I think that brings it right back to this idea before of, AI is not creative, you are. And I think it's really just boils down to, playing with it and experimenting with it. There's so much you can do, and I'm sure people as we speak are thinking of new interesting applications and things they can do with it. And so it's really, having that sort of open mind and an explorer mindset to go in there and play with the tools and see what they can do for you and how you can apply them to the work you're doing. And so I encourage everyone to have that open mind and give it a try.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna maybe end us with one last existential / reflective question here. What is one AI tool you wish you would have had 10, 15 years ago? How would you have leveraged it? What would it have brought to the table back then? Just maybe a fun look back on our careers here.
Well, I mean, I think I already spoke to this, but it was that idea that I have this kind of AI assistant that's always tracking conversations and keeping track of actions and stuff like that. Because I can assure you that 10 or 15 years ago, when I did look out that window and saw that bird and someone later said, "Did you do this?" And I kind of went, was I supposed to do it? It's great to now, be able to keep track of all those things and be able to take action on it.
Cool. Well, I think that's it for us right now. Steve, thanks so much for taking the time and speaking to us about all the great work that you're doing. We really love the partnership, the idea of creativity and this, AI not being creative, and that the people that are wielding these tools and building that influence is really something I hold close to my heart, and I've really enjoyed the partnership, and thanks for coming to see us.
Cool, my pleasure. Thanks so much. Appreciate the opportunity.